Hey guys, so I'm in the kitchen cooking. I just made a dry rub for some chicken and I ran out of rosemary and I ran out of time. So it's a big problem when you run out of time, unless you have some growing in the yard. So I'm gonna go show you guys how to harvest stuff and how to dry it so that you can do the same thing and save money because these little jars are not cheap. This one, $6, just about $6. So it'll save you some money. Our very first stop is time. I've got this really close to the house because, I mean, you know, there's the front door. Hey, Dixie. I use this a lot. So we're just going to come down here. This is variegated thyme. I planted it because it's pretty, but it tastes just as good as regular thyme. So you're just going to take your pruners and just snip. And, you know, you can do larger branches if you want, but essentially you're just going to collect a bunch of these little guys. Here we have my rosemary. I keep it at the entrance to the rabbitry because it is really good at deterring flies and other yucky little pests that you don't want. So you're going to do the same kind of thing. You're just going to come in with your pruners and just snip off a few branches, however much you need. The general rule is you never want to remove more than 1/3 of the plant, no matter what it is you're pruning, because you're going to send the plant into shock and it may not recover. So this is our rosemary harvest. So this is my parsley. I ran out of parsley at the same time as I did the rosemary and the thyme. But as you can see, this plant is covered in flowers. The flowers are actually quite beautiful, honestly, but whenever you have an herb, most herbs, whenever they go to flower, it completely changes the flavor profile. The one exception to this, well, there's a couple, I suppose, but things like blue spice basil and holy basil and a couple of other of the basil varieties are the ones that I'm familiar with that will not change when they're flowering. So, as I do not have any parsley, parsley is a cool season plant. It wants to grow a lot of green growth in the winter. When it gets hot, it gets the signal that it needs to reproduce because it may not live very much longer. So that's why we're not harvesting parsley today. Okay, so now that we've harvested our herbs, let me show you real quick. You're gonna gather up all of like kinds together in kind of like just a little bunch. And we're gonna take some jute, twine, any kind of string you can use, it doesn't really matter. And you just wrap it around it and tie it up. And I'm showing you right now the free way to do this. There is a way that costs money. You can purchase a dehydrator and do it that way. So this is our thyme. So you want to leave one fairly long tail end. It kind of depends on your next situation. I'm going to show you in just a moment what my situation is here. And then we've got our rosemary. So we're going to do the same kind of thing. We've already got it in one bunch. And just tie it up real good on one end. You don't want like a massive bunch of stuff because what can happen is the air cannot move through it. So this is about as big. These are both about, I would not go thicker than this. With something like this, it's not that big of a deal in terms of getting it super bunchy because these two herbs they have antimicrobial properties. So you're not going to get a bunch of mold and bacteria growing in these, but it's also going to slow your drying process if you don't give them a bit more space on the inside. So, all right, let me show you where these are going to hang. All right, so this is just the side of my cabinets in my kitchen. I've already got some string kind of hanging here, and this is some oregano from earlier in the year that I had harvested. So, and I've also got some clothespins. I like doing it this way in terms of like shorter strings attached to longer strings because you can come in and change things really quickly and really easily. So we're just gonna pick a spot up here and clip the puppy into the other string. Sometimes you might have to put like a little knot in it because it may not want to stay attached to the string without having like a stopping point. So that's what I'm going to do real quick. Simple little slip knot right there. And now our thyme is happily hanging. Hanging happily. So at this point, honestly, you could use, this is actually the string from the thyme, so you could kind of connect them, do one or the other in terms of what you want to hang your next herb on. And go grab the rosemary. Didn't have far to go. So I'm going to go ahead and preemptively put a knot in this one before I tie it up. Make my life a little bit easier. And there's a knot right there. So, and now we have our rosemary. And the cool part about this, the entrance to my house is like right here. So as I walk past, and punch my wall, as I walk past, like the smell of this rosemary is going to be, it's going to be hitting me in the face, and it's very vibrant and bright and also relaxing at the same time. That's the cool thing about herbs, is they offer so many different benefits. So when you start working with them, you really start to understand how they affect your body personally. And something that I like, you may not like, and that's fine. That's the cool part about all of this, actually. So yeah, this is going to save me a chunk of money in terms of not having to go to the store and buy any kind of herbs in a jar. And I know exactly where they came from. I know they were not sprayed with any kind of pesticide. I know that they are clean, and there's just like nothing wrong with this. Like I love these little things that you can do to really become self-sustaining. So, and these things, once they find a happy spot in your yard, they'll live for like 20 years, you know, if not more, depending on the plant. Now, annual herbs, as I showed you, the parsley, that's going to be a more repetitive kind of process. You're going to have to plant it in the fall, really, and then harvest it over the winter. But you can have the same process in terms of using the dried herb. So that's what I got for you. Thanks for joining me at Harvey Cat Homestead. This has been Sam. Let me know if there's anything else that you guys would like to know about these. So thanks again.